Earth, environment, energy, E3 Water.
We're here at the bar screen 3 at the Fort Worth plant. Water from there, effluent from there, comes into a 96-inch line. We have a grinder pump set down about 20 feet that's picking up the effluent, coming into these lines and going over to the swirl unit. I'm here with Dan Smith, and he's going to walk us through the unit and show us what we're doing here at E3 Water.
Here, as the wastewater comes from our sump pump coming up to the receiving tank, at this point we inject chemicals to lower the pH, also add a catalyst to speed up the reaction. The wastewater then travels here to the receiving tank. As the wastewater enters the receiving tank, we monitor flow and pH so that we can control our chemicals. We then come into a rock trap to catch any hard articles that come in, rocks, bolts, any heavy items like that. Then into our grinder. This is a Muffin Monster grinder. We use this to grind all of the solids in the wastewater up to approximately 200 micron. From there it goes on into the top of the tank. We also have two pumps on the tank that pick up the water at the bottom of the tank, pressurize it and recirculate it through the tank through hydraulic mixers inside the tank to ensure that all the wastewater inside remains thoroughly mixed. The pumps also supply the pressure to transport the wastewater across to the swirl unit. As the wastewater comes across to the swirl unit, it comes into this tank, which is a balance tank. It's simply to allow us to run at a constant rate while we fill and empty the tank. As the wastewater comes out of this balance tank, we again inject more chemicals just to raise the pH. We also add a flocculant and an oxidizer and some polymer. Runs through a mixed tank to ensure that all the chemicals are thoroughly mixed. Then the flow splits and goes into each of the clarifiers at the bottom. It will travel through the clarifiers in a circular motion from bottom to top, and the solids will precipitate out in the clarifier. The clear water will come off the top of the clarifier. The entire system is controlled using this touchscreen interface. So we can start and stop the system with a single button for the swirl unit and also for the receiving tank pumps. After the water leaves the clarifier, we bring it to our filter system. We have a multimedia filter to pick up any sediment that might be left in the water, and a carbon filter. Both filters have fully automatic valves so that we can clean the filters in place by backwashing and rinsing. And we can also divert the water automatically either to a storage tank or off to a point of use or discharge. Right. We also take the sludge off of the system on a continuous basis. We bring it into a sludge holding tank where we consolidate the sludge, add a little bit of polymer to it, then we pump it into a filter press at the back of the unit, which will remove the solids, and the water from that will be resent to the front side of the system. Okay, so it does not leave the system. These are the samples we've taken. This first sample is the raw untreated wastewater. This is the acidified wastewater. This is from the receiving tank. This is a sample as it enters the bottom of the clarifier. We've already had the pH elevated and the flocculant added. Two samples from the sludge bed. A sample immediately above the sludge bed, a sample as it comes out the top of the clarifier, a sample from the clear well, and finally a sample as it exits the final filters.
So in here we can perform things called jar tests, and they're basically little batch tests in these jars, and we can practice using different types of chemicals and different dosages of the chemicals. And these represent the chemical processes and reactions that take place in the actual treatment unit. So this is a TOC machine, or a total organic carbon machine, and we can use this machine to measure the concentration of organic content that is in the water. So that's one of the major constituents in the wastewater that we have to try to remove is the organic content. So here we can put samples of the raw water and samples from different treatment stages of the plant to see how the organic content of the water is changing over time, and then also see how the chemicals we're adding are affecting that concentration.
Earth, environment, energy, E3 Water.